Okay, so did you know that the average human brain processes tens of thousands of thoughts every single day? Welcome to this explainer. Let's kick things off with a simple but honestly profound observation. Your mind is literally never empty. Right at this very moment, and in every single second of your day, you are hosting something in your head. Whether we realize it or not, our minds are just constantly occupied. We're actively processing, rehearsing, and holding on to thoughts.
So, I have a question for you. What is actually occupying your mind right now? I want you to take a second and really think about your routine mental residence. You know, when you aren't intensely focused on a spreadsheet or a strict deadline, where does your brain just naturally go by default? Is it worry? Is it constant sarcasm or maybe rehearsing a fake argument? Or is it gratitude? Maybe it's a specific anchor point about a really bright, hopeful future. See, we tend to treat these wandering moments as just passing thoughts, right? Like harmless background noise. But the truth is, they are the very building blocks of who we are becoming.
And those passing thoughts matter so much because of a very specific, cascading progression. It's kind of like a chain reaction. We start at step one with a repeated thought. Over time, as you keep returning to that specific thought, it creates an emotional climate inside you. And then, that internal climate eventually settles in and becomes your baseline mood or tone. If you leave it there, that tone hardens into a repeated attitude. And finally, that repeated attitude literally becomes the character that other people experience when they interact with you. A passing inner thought doesn't just vanish into thin air. It slowly and deliberately carves out who you are.
To really get this, think of your brain kind of like a dense, overgrown forest. The very first time you try to push through all that brush, it's difficult, it's slow, and it takes a ton of energy. But if you walk that exact same line every single day, your repeated footsteps eventually carve out a clear, incredibly easy path. Well, the brain learns from repetition in the exact same way. When you repeatedly return to the same kind of thought, whether that's harsh criticism of the people around you or a sense of hopeful possibility, that specific thought just becomes so much easier to access. It literally becomes your mental path of least resistance.
Now, because of that, it is absolutely vital to make a distinction between the types of thinking we're allowing onto those paths. Research shows us pretty clearly that an unmanaged, wandering mind will easily pull us into unhappy, imagined outcomes. But look, not all thinking about our problems is bad. There is a massive difference between constructive concern and unresolved rumination. Concern is actually highly useful when it moves you toward concrete problem-solving and action. It gets you prepared. But rumination, that's when worry becomes a trap. It just endlessly rehearses the pain without actually producing any wisdom, any courage, or any logical next step.
And here is the really crazy part about all this. Our inner occupation doesn't stay private for very long at all. It actively shapes our outer world and how we literally physically move through it. A worried mind almost always translates into a physically guarded posture. Think about it. If you're constantly rehearsing threats internally, you're probably going to become suspicious of people before you even have all the facts. But on the flip side, a grateful mind naturally opens up into a generous posture. A mind that's trained on hope becomes patient, even when things get super difficult. Basically, what you practice in private becomes the exact personality that people meet every single day.
Okay, so how do we actually stop those negative loops once they've already started? Well, we need a doorway back to agency. When you catch yourself stuck in a mental loop of unconstructive worry or resentment, you need a practical, mechanical interruption. You need a way to basically wedge a door open between that automatic, racing thought and the direction you actually want to choose. And to do this effectively in the moment, we need a pre-decided response to just break the cycle before it completely takes over.
Which brings us to a brilliantly simple tool, the 5-second rule. When you notice worry or rumination taking over your mind, you simply count backward out loud or in your head, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now there's no actual magic in those numbers. The true power here is entirely in the interruption. By actively counting down, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, you force a sudden, deliberate break in your mental loop. It immediately shuts down that internal negotiation you do when you're under pressure, and it hands you back a moment of absolute control.
So boom, you hit 1. Now you have to immediately redirect that mental energy. You stop the loop. Now you ask yourself, okay, is this concern actionable? Can I actually influence this today? If the answer is yes, take one honest step. Just do the absolute smallest faithful action right now. But what if the concern is totally outside your control? Well, then you have to make the conscious choice to stop rehearsing the pain. You have to actively release it and return your focus entirely to the present moment. To really understand why actively replacing that thought is so incredibly important, I want you to imagine your mind as a house with a limited number of rooms. You only have so much cognitive and emotional space available on any given day. If worry or resentment occupies every single room in your mental house, well, hope and love literally have no place to sit. They get completely pushed out. If fear is taking up all your available space, love just has to wait outside.
Think about it like this. If resentment is the permanent resident in your house, gratitude is only ever going to be a passing visitor. It might drop by for a cup of coffee, but it won't stay. But the opposite is beautifully true as well. If you choose to make gratitude the permanent resident, complaint simply has less space to exist. Cultivating a positive mental occupation isn't about, toxic positivity or denying reality and pretending things are perfect. It is a discipline. It's the deliberate, daily practice of giving your mind better, higher quality material to repeat.
So we can summarize all of this into a really actionable daily reset that you can use literally anywhere. First, name the pattern. Just acknowledge that worry is currently occupying your mind. Second, interrupt it by counting 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Third, ask what you can actually influence. Fourth, either act on it or release it. And fifth, intentionally replace the occupation with gratitude, hope, or a vision of the bright future. These might seem like tiny little steps, but these small repetitions matter deeply. The public attitude you show the world, your patience, your courage, your warmth, it is entirely formed in these quiet, private moments of reset.
Now, before we wrap up today's explainer, I do want to pause for a gentle but super important note. While these tools are incredibly powerful for managing everyday thoughts and mental loops, if your worry is persistent, if it's overwhelming, connected to trauma, or seriously affecting your daily life and your sleep, a 5-second reset is not a replacement for professional care. It is wise, and honestly it's courageous, to seek proper professional support for serious anxiety. These practical tools are meant to support your journey, absolutely not to replace comprehensive professional care when you really need it.
As we finish up, I want to leave you with one final thought to mull over. The thought you repeatedly host becomes the attitude you carry into the world. It's an incredible reminder of your own personal agency. You have the power to choose your mental residences. So tomorrow morning, it's worth asking yourself, what is occupying my mind today? And exactly what kind of person will that make me if I keep practicing it? Train your inner life deliberately and build the character you truly want to share with the world. Keep learning, keep reflecting, and thanks so much for joining me.